Good evening, good morning, and good night. Welcome to Inappropriate Radio. It's your host, Tasha. Let's get into this. So, hi guys. I hope all is well. Okay, first of all, I didn't record yesterday. It was all on me. It was my fault. I can't even blame anything or anyone. I was being a bit disobedient and a bit distracted, and then I ended up falling asleep, forgetting that I needed to record, and by the time I woke up, it was after 12. All right, so my bizzle, all right. But okay, moving right along. No periodic table, no alien talk today. However, we had a message from the creator, so it's just this simple. We have to start getting into fermented foods, okay? We did a segment about vinegar quite a few weeks ago, maybe a few months ago. In this segment, we talked about the different uses of vinegar as far as spirituality is concerned, and we talked about how holy water has, the concoction for holy water, it is including vinegar, and there were just quite a few things that we discussed as far as spirituality and vinegar is concerned, right? And then the creator wanted me to go into some actual foods that we need to be looking at that will be very, very beneficial for us to eat, because a lot of things are going to be changing with our food, with us having access to food. If you don't want to eat humans, if you don't want to eat dairy, if you don't want to eat a bunch of chemicals, there are going to be tons of ways to extract the chemicals from the food, but fermenting them and eating cultured and fermented food is going to be one of the things that's going to keep us healthy, okay? So now, eating fermented or cultured food. First of all, cultured and fermented food is pretty much the same process. What makes the difference is what is being used to culture it, right? So it depends on the type of bacteria that's being used to make the food fermented or cultured, okay? So there are several benefits. I looked into how it's good for the body and how it's good for the brain, right? So it's good for gut health. It boosts your immune system. It strengthens the walls in your intestines, okay? It builds up your microbiome. Those are the bacteria that it's in our stomach specifically. And what happens is we start to kind of build up those good bacteria that fights off the bad bacteria, okay? It's good for digestion. It reduces your chance of heart disease. It reduces inflammation, and it encourages weight loss, okay? Something that I thought was interesting is that food can ferment in the stomach, right? It causes bacteria to grow if it sits too long. So let's just say if you ate something Monday, let's just say you ate a burger Monday, and then Friday, this burger is still sitting in the same spot. It's not breaking down. It's not being broken down. What happens is, eating fermented food will help the process of digestion, right? It helps the food to break down better, to avoid the bad bacteria from growing in your gut. And this will not only increase your good gut health, but remember, it's going to be building up the bacteria that helps fight off bad bacteria. So kimchi, sauerkraut, miso soup, pickles, kombucha, pretty much any probiotic drink, and also pretty much any food that has been cultured. So like different types of cheeses, yogurt, okay, So there are a few things, and you can just look into the different things that we can eat, to keep ourselves healthy. So there are some foods, right? And outside of yogurt, like different cheeses, because cheese is dairy, it's naturally fermented because of the process of how it's made. But there are some cheeses that are cultured because of the type of bacteria that is used in the process. Okay, you can literally make your own like fermented food, right? And this is a acetic acid. It's nitric acid. There's tons of different forms, okay? And I think it would be important for you to know that white vinegar is about 25% of the acetic acid. It's a bit stronger than distilled vinegar. So if you wanted something to take the form of fermentation a little faster, you might want to use white vinegar and not distilled vinegar. We also went into the different types of vinegar on that segment where we talked about it, and this is where the creator wanted to kind of just focus on a few things for a bit, because vinegar is really inexpensive. So I would encourage you to go out and buy a nice amount of vinegar. We had gone over how it can be used to combat different negative energies, different spirits, right? Hence the reason why it is in holy water, because it's said to have properties that dispel negative energies, right? As you start to ascend and go through your spiritual journey, your diet should automatically be changing, right? So whether you are getting off of drugs, whether you have started to work out, whether you stopped smoking and drinking, whether you started getting more rest, whatever changes you made, most of the time your diet kind of like takes the hit, okay? So if you're wanting something salty or if you're wanting something sweet, there are some things you can consume that are not so bad, right? They're a little bit healthier than some other things. And it's nothing wrong with wanting to eat healthy foods, right? And there's nothing wrong with looking for alternatives to the things that you're already consuming, okay? So before we get into, I don't want to eat this, I don't want to eat that, remember, these things are not bad for you. Now, of course, too much of anything is bad. I would say try to not consume fermented food more than 3 times out of the week, simply because of how strong, even though the pH is low, right? The strength of the acid that is in vinegar can kind of start stripping away at your stomach after a while if you're consuming it too much. Obviously, we all have different, genetic makeups, and if your stomach can handle it, your stomach can handle it. But I have to absolutely make sure I say that, because I'm not trying to encourage people to be like out here, eating things that can ultimately hurt them, right? So it's imperative